Jury duty is the one thing in life that no one wants to win. In terms of a win, it's a loss. I've been called up 2 times in my life, and it was 2 times too many. So we are going to basically grab some weird just off of the top of this massive pile of weird on today's episode of 5 Weird Things. Welcome to the channel. Even a lazy search in Reddit or YouTube, and you're going to find a pile of jury duty horror stories. I saw one about a woman who didn't want to be on a jury at all until she saw that it was her ex-husband on trial. She tried to lie her way onto the jury, but they eventually kicked her out. Now, what's your opinion? Civic duty or massive inconvenience? All right, let's get into it. First, the things we all need to know. Jury duty is a civic responsibility where citizens are called upon to serve as jurors in legal proceedings. It ensures that the justice system operates fairly by involving impartial individuals to evaluate evidence, deliberate on facts, and render a verdict. Jurors are selected randomly from lists such as voter registration and driver's licenses. It's that whole jury of your peers thing. Now, once summoned, potential jurors undergo a selection process called voir dire, during which attorneys and the judge ask questions to determine suitability for the case. If chosen, jurors are expected to listen carefully to the evidence presented, follow the judge's instructions, and work collaboratively to reach a fair and just decision. You know, like on Facebook, everybody just puts in their opinion, and that works out great, right? Now, jury duty is essential to upholding constitutional right to a trial by a jury of one's peers. And while it may temporarily disrupt daily life, serving a jury contributes to the integrity and fairness of the legal system. That's 50-50 as far as I can see. Depending on the bias of the judge or ignorance of the jury, it's either justice or one of the continuing downfalls of civilization. Everybody got that? Good. Weird thing number 5. Now, what are the odds of being picked for jury duty? The odds of being picked for jury duty are like the universe's cruel inside joke, right up there with stepping on a Lego or sitting next to a screaming baby on a plane. It's the lottery you don't want to win, and yet somehow your number gets called when you least expect it. Your chance of getting summoned depends on your state, but generally it's like the cosmic equivalent of a bad ex who just won't let go. Here's the kicker. They say jurors are picked randomly from lists like voter registration or driver's licenses. But let's be honest, random? It feels more targeted than a Karen at a customer service desk. You could go years without a single call and then bam, 2 summonses in like a year and a half, 3 years. It's as if the court system has you on speed dial. Meanwhile, your friend who hasn't voted since the Bush era never picked once. The system seems less random and more roulette wheel from hellish. Getting excused is not much easier. You could try the basics, I'm biased, I hate lawyers, or even I'm allergic to the concept of justice. But unless you're coughing up blood or are actively on fire, chances are the judge is going to nod politely and then still shove you onto the panel. Say goodbye to your week and hello to endless hours of watching someone argue about parking tickets. I was dismissed from sitting on a jury once because the defense lawyer asked us if we could be impartial and weigh his client's version of the events with as much weight as a 20-year decorated sheriff. His client was this complete gangster chick with tattoo of a spider on her face and 8 teardrops tattooed under her eye, which is 1 for each year in prison or each murder, according to Google. He seemed honestly shocked when I said I would believe the sheriff first. Whatever, I got to go home at least. Weird thing number 4, the cost of jury duty. The economics of being picked for jury duty is like a financial kick in the teeth disguised as civic duty. You're summoned to serve, not for glory or gold, but for the princely sum of $15 a day. Barely enough to cover gas or even a vending machine lunch. Forget dreams of wealth, you'll be lucky to break even by the time it's over. First, you're yanked from your job, where you might earn an actual paycheck. Instead, you're sitting in a courthouse that smells like anxiety and cheap coffee, losing money every minute you're there. If your employer is generous, they'll cover your wages while you serve. If not, well, good luck explaining to your landlord why the rent is late. I served justice doesn't get you a free pass. And what do you get for your trouble? Maybe a complimentary hard plastic chair and the opportunity to listen to someone argue about a fender bender for 8 hours. Meanwhile, the judge drones on about how it is your important civic duty, and all you can think is, I'm paying for the privilege of boredom at this point. Don't forget the parking fees, because why not bleed you dry in every possible way? In the end, you're out cash, sanity, maybe a day's worth of dignity. Jury duty, where you lose money to decide if someone else loses their money. Democracy is such a beautiful thing. Now, what's the real economic takeaway? You're essentially paying to be part of the system where justice is served, lukewarm and overpriced like gas station food. But hey, at least you get to feel like a vital cog in the great machine of democracy, while your bank account quietly weeps in the corner. Weird thing number 3. What kind of juries are there? Now, when you get summoned for jury duty, you might think you're heading into some grand courtroom drama, but hang on there. There are different types of juries, and each has its own different flavor of chaos. Welcome to the twisted buffet of civic duty, where you get served first, whether you're hungry or not. Petit jury, which is trial jury. The petit jury is your standard issue jury. Think of it as bread and butter of courtroom boredom. You'll sit in judgment of civil cases like someone suing over a bad haircut, or criminal cases. Cue the bad decisions and poor life choices. After endless testimony, you'll huddle in a tiny room with strangers to decide guilt, innocence, or who deserves a payout. It's like group therapy, except no one actually cares about your feelings. The grand jury. The grand jury, where you don't even get to decide guilt. Your job is to figure out if there's enough evidence to charge someone. These are typically bigger cases. It's less guilty or not guilty, more like, seems a little sketchy. This can last for months, so kiss your freedom goodbye. Bonus, secrecy rules mean you can't even complain about it properly. My mom sat on a grand jury once. She was impaneled for 3 months, and she had to go sit 1 day every other week. Luckily, Mom works from home, so she had that kind of time on her hands, but she hated that whole process. There's the coroner's jury. If you're really lucky, you could land on a coroner's jury, deciding the cause of someone's untimely demise. Think of it as playing detective, except with fewer plot twists and a lot more paperwork. The body's already dead, so you're just there to confirm what everybody else seems to already know. And the civil jury. These are the he said, she said cases about money, contracts, and someone's hurt feelings. It's like a bad soap opera without commercial breaks. The stakes? Petty cash and bragging rights. In the end, whatever jury you land on, just remember you're not there for justice. You're there because the system needed some warm bodies. Enjoy. Weird thing number 2. The worst types of trials to be a juror for. Now, being on a jury sounds noble until you realize that the trials are so ridiculously dull, absurd, or mind-numbingly frustrating that you'd rather be trapped in a dentist's waiting room with no Wi-Fi. Welcome to the worst kinds of trials where your soul slowly withers while democracy does its thing. There's the petty bad neighbor civil dispute trial. These are the lawsuits over neighbors fighting about fence placement, who killed the homeowner association's rose bushes, you name it. You'll sit there barely staying awake while grown adults argue over $200 in damages like it's a $1 billion inheritance. By the end, you'll wish you could sue them both for wasting your time. The long, drawn-out corporate lawsuit. Think courtroom drama? No, think hours of PowerPoint slides about obscure legal jargon, corporate policies, and charts that make your eyes bleed. By the 3rd day, you'll pray for bathroom breaks just for a brief taste of freedom. Even if it smells like a urinal cake, you'll be happy. It's the legal equivalent of death by 1,000 paper cuts. The ambulance chaser personal injury case. This is the category of, oh no, I slipped on a grape at the grocery store. Now you're trapped in a courtroom where one side insists it's life-ruining while the other argues that the grape was clearly visible. It's like watching paint dry but more excruciating because you have to care about it. And the lawyers are the bottom of the barrel. They look visibly greasy to the touch. And then there's the boring financial fraud case. Prepare for hours of spreadsheets and testimony from accountants droning on about tax codes. And I don't know if you know a lot of accountants, but they don't go into that field because they have sparkling personalities. It's not even sexy fraud, just some guy who didn't pay taxes on time or took $100 from petty cash. By the end, you'll envy the defendant because at least they get to leave. In these trials, justice crawls along at a snail's pace while you contemplate whether selling your soul just to get excused would actually be worth it in the bargain. Enjoy the ride. It's long, it's tedious, and it's almost entirely pointless. And finally, weird thing number 1. The reasons you can be dismissed from jury duty. So a few pro tips here, so pay attention. Getting dismissed from jury duty is the ultimate prize in the civic lottery. Freedom from the courtroom purgatory where time crawls and sanity withers. But it's not as simple as walking in and saying, I don't want to do this. Oh no, the court system makes you dance for it, and only the truly cunning escape unscathed. First, there's voir dire, where lawyers and the judge ask you if you can be fair and impartial. Spoiler, they don't actually care. You could say you believe squirrels are spies for the government. The judge will still squint and say, let's dig a little deeper. It's like a twisted game show where your prize is not getting stuck with the most boring trial imaginable. I got out of jury duty because pretty much I took one look at the sheriff that was there, I took a look at the defendant and her facial tattoos, and I made my decision who was guilty, and I let them know it. You don't do that, but it got me out of jury duty. Now, if you want to get dismissed, some go for the classic, I'm biased. Others try the wild card, I hate all lawyers equally. But don't get too cocky, judges have heard it all. Unless you're actively foaming at the mouth, they'll probably just nod and seat you anyway. There's also the health excuse, but unless you're coughing up a lung or visibly bleeding, don't count on it. Judges are experts at spotting fakers. Your Honor, I have anxiety. That's nice, so does everybody else here. And let's not forget the work excuse. Unless you're a brain surgeon or holding the nuclear codes, good luck convincing them that you're indispensable at the job site. This used to work, but now they only have you show up for one day, at least in California. And it doesn't matter if your job sends a note with you saying if he's not here Monday, he's fired. They will force you to have that day. Now, for the truly desperate, there's the nuclear option. I believe the justice system is a joke. Now, sure, you'll be escorted out, but hey, mission accomplished. In the end, getting dismissed from jury duty is like winning a crappy game of Survivor. You don't walk away with money or fame, just the sweet, sweet taste of freedom and maybe a smug grin as you bolt for the exit. Well, that's it for today's episode. Hope it reminded you of your civic duty. So do me a favor, watch a lot more of these videos. This channel isn't going to build itself, folks. Take care. Have a great day.